Hey, what's up? Dylan here. I got a great lesson for you today focusing on 3 fills from the great Nate Smith. Here we go. All right, so these are all from a Fearless Flyers show live at Madison Square Garden. The tune is Lost My Treble Long Ago. With all of these fills, what's so amazing and so creative that Nate Smith does is he plays only hi-hat, snare drum, and bass drum. That's it. This is a great example in general of how to be super creative with very limited sounds. Okay, right before we get to the fills, let's learn the basic groove. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're a beginner, use that groove and play it the whole entire time. If you already know how to do that and that's a little easy for you, you can use a couple variations. The first one is instead of playing quarter notes on your bass drum, you could do eighth notes. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So that sounds like this. And last groove variation, we can put in some 16th notes on the kick drum to give it the skip beat. So it sounds like this. All right, now that we got our groove, let's go into our first fill. Now with fill number 1, our hands are going to be doing almost exactly the same thing that we've been playing in the groove. Eighth notes on the hi-hat, snare drum on 2 and 4. The only tiny change is we're going to play an extra quarter note on beat 3 with the snare on the left hand. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're going to use 16th note triplets, and we're going to put this pattern in different spots in the measure, but basically we're going to play the last 2 notes of the triplet grouping on the bass drum, not the first one. Triplet. We're going to play that bass drum pattern starting on the and of 2 going into beat 3. So let's hear just what that sounds like. Okay, now we're just going to play that exact same pattern again going into beat 4. So let's add that much in. And now on beat 4, we're going to continue the triplet and play 2 bass drums immediately after we hit that snare drum and finish it on the and of 4 with a hi-hat by itself. So the whole measure sounds like this. All right, fill number 2, still going to think about triplets. We're going to start this fill on beat 4 of the previous measure. So beat 4 is going to be the same thing that we've been doing, hi-hat and snare drum together. Then we're going to bring both hands to the snare, and we're going to play a triplet on the and of 4. Now here's the sticking to make this easier. We're going to go right, right, left for our triplet, and then we're going to hit an accent on the snare, which will be the start of the next measure. So I'm going to play a measure of time with just that beat 4 part of the fill. Okay, so right after that snare drum hit, we're going to have a bass drum on the E and then hi-hat on the and. Beat 2 is exactly the same as the groove. Hi-hat, snare drum together, followed by another hi-hat on the and of 2. Now beat 3, very simple pattern. We're going to go hi-hat's still going to play eighth notes, 3 and 4 and we're going to play snare, bass, snare, bass. So the whole fill number 2 sounds like this. All right, fill number 3. This one might be the most challenging. Basically what we're doing is we're going to play the hi-hat super late on 1 and the and of 1. Some people will argue you could notate this as the bass drum and the hi-hat are a 16th note apart or a 32nd note. I just hear it as it's a feel thing. So it's hard to notate. So I didn't notate it specifically like any of those scenarios. I just wrote it as if it's together. But we're going to swing these two notes super hard. Sounds like this. All right, moving on to beat 2. It's pretty simple. We're just going to add a skip beat into beat 3. So that much sounds like this. Okay, beat 4, we have some serious coordination to learn here. We're going to start out with 2 16th notes followed by 16th note triplets. So the overall rhythm sounds like this. 4 E triplet 1. 4 E triplet 1. Now let's go through each note. Beat 4 is going to be hi-hat and snare drum together. The E is bass drum all by itself. And here's where our coordination is going to get a little tricky. We have a triplet, so 3 notes, and then we're going to add one for the downbeat of the next measure. So triplet 1. Start with hi-hat as the first note of our triplet, followed by snare. The third of our triplet is snare drum and bass drum together. And then beat 1, we have our hi-hat with our bass drum. So really slow, sounds like this. Make sure you practice that beat 4 really slow and get very comfortable with it. Okay, let's put that fill all together. Alright, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Be creative, keep practicing.